Let's talk about bent arm strength development. Bent arm strength is simply opposed to straight arm strength. Bent arm strength being the strength you need to hold positions in which your elbows are bent or are bending, and straight arm strength being the strength you need to hold positions in which your elbows stay straight. And so technically speaking, a handstand is a straight arm strength movement. Developing bent arm strength, however, can be very useful in three main scenarios. First, if you intend on migrating from a straight arm strength position to a bent arm strength position. Let's say you want to go from a handstand to a crow or from a headstand to a handstand. In the process, you do go from being straight to bent or the other way around. Only working on your handstand and only working on the bottom position, which is the one with bent elbows, is not going to be enough for you to know how to navigate from one to the other. You need another layer of strength here. And so if that's on the horizon for you, you definitely need to include some bent arm strength development drills. The other reason why this is useful is bending the elbows, having some form of bent arm strength, allows you to recover some failing handstands. It widens the room for error, and you don't have so much to kick up into optimal alignments, or you can recover easier from handstands in which you're losing your balance. Some people will resonate better than others when it comes to using bent arm strength for the sake of recovering falling handstands. It's, however, a precious tool that allows you to erase some of the mistakes you can be making and therefore hold it longer and longer and catch your handstand out of kick-ups more and more consistently. So at a stage where you can catch already 5 seconds or more upside down, it can be very relevant for you to include bent arm strength in your program, especially if we see a proclivity. The last reason why this is important, or it can be relevant for you, is that in the learning of complex straight arm strength movement, we may sometimes allow ourselves to slightly bend and extend the elbows so that we can understand how all the different motor patterns involved are supposed to be articulated around one another. This is, for instance, the case of the press handstand. A technical press handstand has elbows straight, but in the learning of it, it can sometimes be useful for us to allow ourselves to tap into this tank of bent arm strength and extend our elbows into our press handstand until we really figure out how all the pieces of the press puzzle are supposed to articulate around each other so that eventually we don't need to use our elbows at all. Some people won't need to develop that part in the learning of the press or other straight arm strength skills, and we do want to be careful not to develop a dependency on it. But overall, having more strength usually helps a lot your inversions. And last elements I could mention myself from my experience is that if you want to include transitions into dynamic form of movements, having strength vastly reduces the risk of injury. If you are holding a handstand in a context in which you're tired and maybe you cartwheeled into it and you're trying to lower yourself into a position in which your elbows are bent, it can be guaranteed that the placement won't be optimal. Having this strength allows you to hover instead of collapse in weird, dodgy angles and then suffer the consequences of that.